What's going on, gang? It's been a while since I've done one of these standalone videos. I've been kind of wrapped up in some vlogging, but I really want to get back to kind of these different, the style videos, the book reviews, and just a little bit of some different kind of chase. I don't know why I'm still talking like that. Just got back from Europe, was gone for about 3 weeks, and yeah, grew the beard out a little bit if you can't tell, and did a lot of reading while I was over there while we were on the train and the airplane. So I did a book review video earlier this year highlighting some books that I had read at the beginning of 2017 as well as the end of 2016, because I did kind of, I think, my first book review video sometime this summer of 2016. So since then I've read a lot of books, I've listened to a lot of audiobooks, and some a little bit of both. Now, I want to highlight some of these books that I've read. I've had the privilege and honor of interviewing the authors and having them on my podcast, which I will link down in the box below, as well as kind of put a little bleep right here for you, okay? Go check it out, Everforward Radio. It's one thing to get to read the book, it's another to get inside the mind of the author. God, it is sunny. Would it be wrong if I put my sunglasses on for this video? Hey, mama. I get Johnny Bravo a lot. Do I pull that off? No sunglasses, Chase. God. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books to go over with you. We're gonna hit the highlights. We're gonna talk about which ones I had on the podcast and go from there. All right, so first up, I have Dr. Michael Bruce's The Power of When. Now this book, the little blurb on the front says, discover your chronotype and the best time to eat lunch, ask for a raise, have sex, write a novel, take your meds, and more. And yes, more means literally everything in your life. So this book kind of does a breakdown from a sleep study expert. He is a PhD doctor who spent basically his career studying and understanding the science of sleep and how it affects us all differently. Now, if you all follow me for any length of time, you know that over the past couple years in my kind of personal paradigm as well as my health coaching practice, I really put sleep at the top of the hierarchy, because if you ain't got your sleep, you ain't got no quality of life. You're not gonna be eating well, your attitude is gonna be off, your energy is gonna be off, you're not gonna wanna work out or exercise. So this really resonated with me, and being able to better understand what is sleep, why do we need it, and why do some people need more of it, why do others need less of it, and not only that, but how to cater it, how to better understand which body type you are, which chronotype you are. And he does a great job, Dr. Michael Bruce does a great job of breaking down these 4 categories, basically describing these 4 types of people that respond differently to rising early, staying up late, best time during the day you're most productive, things of that nature. I did have the privilege of having Dr. Michael Bruce on the podcast, so if you want to check this out, it's a very quick read. You can read it from front to back. Also, what I really liked about this is that once you kind of understand your chronotype, you can kind of just bounce around the book to the sections that pertain particularly to you, so which makes it a quick read. Up next, The Secret Life of Fat by Dr. Sylvia Tora. So this book, another PhD doctor, kind of dives into a specific area of science, a specific area of medicine that is very interesting to them, that they've had some struggle with. And in this case, Dr. Tora had a lifetime of kind of struggling with just putting on extra body fat, and then even struggling to get it off compared to her friends and her family members, people in her same genetic pool. So this book is the science behind the body's least understood organ and what it means for you. Dr. Tora does a really good job here of describing the science, the most recent science behind fat, not just as a macronutrient or an energy supply or this little jiggly stuff I got on me now coming back from Europe for 3 weeks, but really what it does for your body, how it helps you, how it can hurt you, and how to best understand it to better manipulate it to your particular body type, to your body composition goal, and to just really put you ahead of the curve. This book was great because not only does she just talk about the science, but she references, like I said, some of the most recent clinical studies and trials to just show you that fat is not what we thought it was. So like I said, I did have Dr. Tora on the podcast. It was an amazing conversation. If you are anyone trying to get your weight under control or just curious about how the human body works specifically with fat, it's very intriguing. Fat is not what we thought it used to be. I think it's gotten a bad name, a bad rap, and there's a lot of great content in this book to help you decide for yourself, hey, what is this stuff on the side of my belly? How do I get rid of it? How do I embrace it? How do I use it to reach my health and wellness goals? All right, 2 down, 4 to go. Stick with me. All right. Have you read any books this year? No? Okay, up next, someone that I have not been able to get for an interview on the podcast, but you shouldn't be stranger to his work because I talk about him. I reference his works all the time. Shut up, you annoying ambulance. So sorry about that. So up next, I have Ryan Holiday's latest work, The Perennial Seller. So Ryan Holiday, I referenced 2 of his books in my last book review video, Ego is the Enemy and The Obstacle is the Way. He is someone whom I follow on a regular basis. I post up daily snaps from his daily Stoic. Just a really, really insightful guy who does a lot of great work, and he hasn't put out anything that I do not thoroughly enjoy. I don't jump on the pre-order for and just read front to back from like the second I get it. So The Perennial Seller is all about the art of making and marketing work that lasts. Now, this is really pertinent to me because this year I really tried to grow my content, my social media platforms, to just raise awareness about myself and the things that I find important and valuable and want to share with others, but also in the sense that I've gotten a little bit more businessy oriented, and I'll go into that more in the next kind of 2 books here, and that I want to learn how to not only just share what I love and what I like and what I think other people will find value in, but how myself to create something meaningful and to create something that connects with people, not just right now because it's hot and cool and popping, but something that is going to last for the ages. That perennial product, that perennial service, that thing that is just timeless. And Ryan does an amazing job in this book of talking about perennial successes, failures, and just ways to go about really just your mindset and your thinking in this product development, this service development, and making sure that you create something that is worthwhile, honest, and just gonna be here forever. So if you are not even just in the social media world, but if you are trying to just start your own business, be an entrepreneur, or maybe you're just working for a company who has the task of coming up with a new product or service or thing to sell or market, I really, really feel you will find great value in The Perennial Seller. Not trying to call you out, Ryan, but I've reached out 3 times now, and you always turn me down for the podcast interview. Please. I'll even come to Austin. You live in Austin. I love Austin. I love Austin. That was a little desperate. Okay, stick with me. We're getting close. I've got 3 more books for you. Okay, getting back to someone that I have had on the podcast who has been a guest on Everforward Radio, Mr. Chris Voss, co-author of this next book. Never Split the Difference, Negotiating as if your life depended on it. Now this book and the next one, the second to last one, are 2 books that I have the hard copy, as well as I got the audiobook version via Audible. Now, I first heard Chris on an interview over on Lewis Howes's School of Greatness podcast and was just blown away. Now this guy is a former FBI top hostage negotiator. He spent like 15, 20 years just negotiating, dealing with terrorists and hostage situations. But I never thought that I would want to learn about negotiating, much less hostage negotiating. But Chris and his co-author Raz, they do an amazing job of combining experience, real world, real life experience to other areas, other industries. So he'll talk about working with someone who is holding up a bank and relate that how you can get your raise that you want from your boss, or get a promotion, or just have a better conversation, have better conversational skills with another person to win the argument, but also just to make sure that both people can walk away from that conversation, from that deal, from that negotiation, from that meeting, winning. His Audible, I go back to on a weekly basis. He's not the reader, he's not the orator reading his book, but the guy does have a great voice who does it. And I go back week by week, chapter by chapter, and just pull different things. Each and every time I get something valuable and useful out of it. I cannot recommend this book enough. Go back and listen to the podcast. Chris does an amazing job of kind of just breaking down what is negotiating, what is conversation, and why are we going about it wrong, most of us, and I definitely was. So very, very useful, very, very insightful. I would recommend the hard copy book, like I said, and the Audible is great because you can just go back chapter by chapter and just get the highlights that you want. We are gonna shift the angle because the light's going away. Oh yeah, that is mo better. All right, stick with me guys. I have 2 more books for you. I was kind of hesitant to read it because I'm not really a business-oriented person, but at the time, I realized that I need to kind of get out of my wheelhouse, and I was reading a lot of books of similar topics of health and wellness and the human body and self-help, personal development, and I realized that where I want to go in the near future is kind of really in that business-y world. I want to really just make these moves personally, professionally, to level up myself, and I'm realizing that I'm a little bit ignorant when it comes to business world stuff. Also because I don't do math good. Anyways, Playing to Win. This is written by the former chairman and CEO of Procter & Gamble, as well as the Rotman School of Management, co-authored. This book is all about strategy and how strategy really works. Now again, this book really reminded me of the writing style and application of Chris Voss's Never Split the Difference, as well as the Extreme Ownership book that I referenced in my last video. Kind of just taking personal scenarios, personal examples of business transactions, business deals, and acquisitions and mergers, and deals gone wrong, deals gone right from these 2 guys, and then really dissecting that and pulling out the lesson, pulling out the what to do, what not to do, tangible, valuable content that you can apply in your everyday life. So I would recommend this book to anyone who is in the business world. If you're a corporate 9-to-5er, if you're someone who is maybe trying to start your own business and your C-level suite team, you're trying to just really understand what you should be doing. The kind of their 2 takeaways are where you're gonna play and how are you gonna win there. Probably the biggest takeaway concepts from this book is just getting a better idea of what it is, what is the product and or service that you or your company provides, where you really need to be paying attention in the market, where you need to be playing, so they call it, and how specifically are you gonna win there. This really shifted my perspective a little bit in my 9-to-5 job currently, of really getting a better idea of where I need to be focusing on how to bring in more patients to our practice, as well as how specifically, once I get there, how am I gonna get their attention? How am I gonna make them find value in the services that I offer and my company provides? Okay, the last one, I don't really talk about this a whole lot, but if you follow me on probably like my Snapchat or IG story, I kind of touch base on space a lot. Well, not a lot, but every once in a while. I'm obsessed with space. It blows my mind. Just staring up at it, I'm just like, space is something of a big personal interest of mine. And if you've been following anything about space and the cosmos this year, I guess really the past 2 years, then you know this guy. Mr. Neil deGrasse Tyson. This is Astrophysics for People in a Hurry. So again, I have the hard copy here, but once I found out that Neil himself did the Audible book version, if you've watched him on any of the Netflix shows or History Channel, the dude's voice is butter. So I downloaded the Audible version, and honestly, I would probably recommend that over the hard copy, just because when I was reading the hard copy to start, I was like, this is me restarting the same sentence over and over, by the way. So I would really recommend the Audible version, A, just because his voice is amazing, but also the book just kind of reads like a story. And so it's really easier, I think, to just, on your commute, on the treadmill, knocking out your cardio or whatever. It's much easier, I found, to just listen, to fall into the story that he's telling about space. It's a very, very, for lack of a better term, dumbed down explanation of the cosmos and astrophysics and how the universe, in his perspective and the scientific community, was created. The Big Bang Theory, thousands, millions of years of evolution up in space. It blows my mind. And best believe I'm gonna be reaching out to Neil very soon to have him on the podcast, because space. Well, that's a wrap. Thanks for sticking by for this video. If you can't tell, I like reading. I love reading. I have a stack of about 4 more books waiting to be read. I have another one coming in today that I got off a pre-order. Oh, jeez, sit up straight, your posture's terrible. And so yeah, as I read these books, I keep them all because I love to go back to them to reference later on. I loan them out to friends, and I get the audio version, try to get them on the podcast. So thanks for sticking around. If you have any books that you have read this year, like I said earlier, I've always kind of been in the health, wellness, self-help kind of mindset when I'm reading, but I'm trying to branch out a little bit. I would love to read, stick with nonfiction, but you know, anything in the business space, self-help development. Actually, one book that I keep seeing I want to read is Norse mythology. I just think Vikings are cool as shit. So yeah, go ahead and leave a comment down below of what maybe you thought about these books if you have read it, if you happen to have listened to my podcast with them. Any and all feedback is like greatly appreciated, dude. And of course, always leave some great references down below of some books that you think others would enjoy, that I would enjoy, and who knows, maybe they'll be on the next book review, all right? So, that's a wrap. Silencio! Living in DC, man, never a dull moment. So, I'm gonna wrap the video up here. Thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, share, please. I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video.